Today's episode is so incredibly special. I get to sit down with two women who are not just powerful voices in the kingdom, but they're a living, breathing example of what it looks like when faith runs deep through generations. Kelley and Taylor Tyan are a dynamic mother-daughter duo. They're hosts of the Chosen by Jesus podcast and passionate leaders who are helping women everywhere step into their God-given identity. What makes their story so impactful isn't just their boldness and their wisdom. It's their transparency. They've each walked through battles. They've struggled with addiction, insecurity, identity struggles, and the lies of this world. And through it all, they chose Jesus. Their story reflects what we talk about so often on this show, the intersection of mindset, faith, and transformation. And today, you're going to hear what happens when a mother refuses to give up, a daughter chooses to rise, and they both commit to building something eternal. They do it together. If you've ever questioned your purpose, struggled with your self-worth, or wondered if God could still use you, this conversation is for you. Let's welcome Kelley and Taylor Tyan to the Kingdom Mindset Show. So we're joined here with Kelley and Taylor Tyan, and I just am so excited to have you both on the show. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
We're so excited to be here.
Always excited to talk about God.
Exactly.
Yes. And speaking of that, let's, let people know you guys have this amazing new podcast. Can you talk a little bit about your podcast? What do you have going on Chosen by Jesus?
Do you want to start or do you want me?
You start.
Okay, so we came together as mother and daughter. This was such a God thing for us because we never realized that we just have so much to share together in how our life, both of our lives, faith has been everything to us. And we've evolved as mother and daughter separately and came together to share the message of Jesus to people because he's changed our lives so drastically. And we're just excited. We named it Chosen by Jesus because we want people to know that they're chosen. And no matter how bad it is, no matter what their circumstances are, no matter what they've been through, we're called, we're chosen, and let's step into that power so we can walk differently. Let's talk differently because we have the power of Jesus inside us. We're excited. God brought us together, and it's a dream for me as the mom.
Yeah. I mean, to add to that too, I would say we really honed in. We've always been, we've had that Christian faith background, but everybody has certain circumstances that they allow to define themselves. And for the longest period, 20 plus years, I've allowed that. My mom's allowed that. We've struggled in our own different ways, but it was just a beautiful thing. We came together probably about a year or two, probably 2 years ago, really honing in on our faith. And I work out in Brighton, but some days or even every day, I'd call my mom after work and be like, I love Jesus. He's helped me out in this way, that way. And we would have conversations so often that one day I'll never forget how it started. We're in one of the Arsenal yards out of Brighton at like Shake Shack or something, sitting in like a little field on these two lawn chairs and always shooting the, stuff about God. We go, wait, this is stuff that people need to hear. What we're going through is not just what we're going through. And that's when it was like almost like a light bulb literally went off in our heads. And we got so excited. We go, we have to get the message out, whether it impacts one person or thousands, millions, we hope, but that's really where it all stemmed from.
Yeah, I love that. And what was it that, so you guys were probably, Taylor, explain your journey a little bit. You were at school probably, or what brought you back and how did you end up back doing this with your mom?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I do have to say it was challenging. So like any other, adolescent growing up, my grandmother was big on it. And she'd always be like, Taylor, pray, do this, do that. And, in one ear at the other. But as I got older, obviously a little bit more wiser, I noticed my grandmother and just how she responded to every pain and every negative aspect of her life. She was still the greatest light in the room, even though she was the most in pain. And I looked at her, and then she passed away.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, so my mom suffered from rheumatoid arthritis from the
Oh,
time I was
bless you.
born. And that's what she means, physical pain. So suffering, if you know what rheumatoid is, it attacks your joints. And the reason why we always bring my mom up is because she was the light in the room. My mom had so many major surgeries. Every joint was inflamed in her body. Yet she walked around with this smile and this peace that you would think everything was perfect in her life. La, 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 la. That was my mom. And she'd say, where are we going, girls? Are we going to the mall? She'd have her makeup on. I'd
Her
be like, well, I have a
lipstick.
headache. I have such a headache. I
Right?
can't. We're like, we can't even complain because this woman is in a wheelchair.
And if we did complain, she would literally say, she would put her hands on us and say, Jesus, please take this headache away, take the pain and put it on me. And I'd say, no, Grammy, no. You have way too much going on. I go, stop, you're going to make me cry.
Oh my
But it
gosh,
was
I love that.
You know how beautiful it was?
Right.
So I'm witnessing all of this. And then she passed away. I graduated high school. Given that she couldn't take care of herself physically, I took it upon myself to physically get grounded. So I went through college still with going through the motions, just working out, doing what I thought was the right thing at the time. And I was like, I still don't have this fulfillment, this peace that my grandmother had. And then I was like, she prayed over everything. And it's almost like a light bulb. And I was like,
Another light bulb.
light bulb. We have a lot of light bulb situations. But
That's
I
an
love
awesome
that.
thing, right?
It is because they're godly light bulbs.
Yes, so that's where it's beautiful, because it almost is like you're searching for something and he's there for you. And once I allowed myself to see God and what he actually has for me in this world and my purpose. So I went through college. I started getting the Jesus Calling books. I have 9 girls I'm living with. I'm passing them out to them because I'm just so excited. I learned that you can't do that. It's not that easy. Everybody doesn't just tag along.
Everyone's not
Yeah.
like Jesus.
Right. They're
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Right.
cult question mark. And I'm
Right.
like, no. We're all just here for the Lord. But yeah, so I went through college and it was tough. I didn't have the faith. I didn't have the blind faith that I do now. I was kind of just going through the motions. And I would say post college, everything was just, I was going out. I was doing everything that I thought I should again, not feeling that fulfillment. I got into a huge car accident, completely stopped my life for about a month. Me and my mom found Elevation Worship, and if in Cliff Notes version, I really took the time just to be with the Lord, and I quit social media for about 5 years also too, just given society so evil out there in today's day. I found the Lord by myself with him, spending time with him. So
Amen.
versus
Yes.
exactly. I was
I have
praying.
goosebumps. Like I could cry listening to this girl.
But
Yeah.
I was praying. I was reading the Bible. I'm honed in on the word, not so much of just scrolling on media and seeing what the message is and what people are doing on a daily, which, don't get me wrong, it's great to be involved with your peers and everything. But for me, I had to step away from society and just really grow comfortably with the Lord and myself. And that's really how it all started.
And that's and back to that full answer to your question.
I know that was a lot.
Well, no,
No,
but
that's great.
that story, I started as her mom, I started witnessing her faith in a
Yeah.
new and different way. And I started hearing the way she was excited about Jesus. And I remembered me when I was 23 years old being so excited, because when I found Jesus, I was about 20, same age. You know, you grew up with Jesus, I grew up with Jesus, but again, like Taylor said, you have to find Jesus on your own. We can give the Bibles out, the Jesus callings, we can pray over people, but it's really our own faith walk.
You have to
And
want it.
you have to spend time with him to get to know him. And so it's just,
It's so exciting.
I can just go on and on, but it is very exciting when I started witnessing her faith come alive. And that's really when we sat down at the yards in the lawn chairs. It was almost like a download. And I said, hey, do you want to do a podcast together? And let's just bring the message that we're sitting here talking about, how God pulled us out of the ditches. And we
Yeah.
can go into that if you want to hear a little bit of our story, but how God really got us to this place.
Yeah.
And we want to people to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
We're regular girls, mother and daughter, just going through life, crying, pulling hair out. We fight, laughing, but we
Yeah.
found Jesus and we found him separately, but together. And we want to share that with people that you're going to be okay.
Right.
Mhm.
If you lean into the Lord, you're going to be okay. We've been through the trenches and we're still here.
Yeah.
You'll be okay too.
Yes,
Especially
I love that message because it's so true. I have dealt with a lot of struggle in my life as well. And that struggle is really, without that struggle, I would not be the person that I am today. And it really took leaning in to that struggle, embracing who I really truly was, not trying to be some other person or put on this other mask, or try to be somebody that I wasn't. It was truly authentically stepping into my true self and utilizing that person, the only person that is JJ Shawver, that God made to be JJ Shawver. And it's so interesting when you can truly step into that authenticity, how much it just opens up the world. And when you bring Jesus into it, my gosh, it lights me up something fierce.
Yes.
you feel unstoppable.
Yes.
We want everybody else to feel like that. I mean, especially in today's day and age, it's a crazy world out there. We all need Jesus.
We
Yes,
need Jesus.
more than anything. I mean, it's so true. And that's there's so much of my life, and I'm sure that you gals can both speak into this a little bit, but there's so much of my life that I was trying to looking back on it, I was doing it all on my own, trying to do this all on my own. And it was like, that was the most ludicrous thing I could possibly do. What I needed was completely opposite of that. It was completely letting go and having that blind faith, like you talked about, Taylor, and really, really diving into that. That's what has, I don't know, made the biggest difference in my life. Kelley, can you talk a little bit about your personal journey of faith and what got you to this point?
Yes. So again, I grew up in a Christian home and going through the motions, as Taylor said, with my mom. My mom wore Jesus on her forehead, on her sleeve, on her clothes. She just was a beautiful example of faith. But again, I had to go through it myself. And of course, like you just mentioned, JJ, that hitting some rock bottom moments for me, I went through breast cancer, and hearing the words, "You have cancer," is a rock bottom moment. And so for me, that's really, I was 34 years old and very young to be diagnosed with that. And I remembered how my mom got through everything she got through. And I really took my faith to a new level at that moment in my life. That's really where I started letting go and letting God, as you just said. That's our slogan that Taylor and I, we go through life, let go, let God. And I have to remind her, she reminds me, that cancer is something you can't control. You don't know the outcome. And at that point, I had to let it go and surrender fully. And from that moment on, I saw Jesus in a new light. And fast forward, I mean, I'm 17 years. Is that the math? 17 years cancer free now. Don't tell him my age.
Well, that is so awesome. That gives me goosebumps. I can't even believe that.
And so I've really taken my faith to, even, as Christians, as faith, as believers, right? Season, we're growing in the Lord. Every time we read scripture, sometimes it comes alive in a new way. You can read the same thing. Faith is just a beautiful ongoing journey. So I have been evolving in my faith over these last, 17 years, as I said. And today, my faith has become so unshakable. I was on a mission, JJ, to be like a tree, firmly planted with roots that don't get rocked by the winds of life. And that was my goal. Like, that's really what I want, because I was so tired of being shaken by life and fear. I mean, that's a whole other podcast you can have me back on. But fear for me was so crippling.
Yeah.
It used to suffocate me for a few years. And I struggled. That was my battle, from her accident to my breast cancer to losing my mother for a sudden aneurysm. I thought everyone was going to die around me. Every time my kids got in a car, I was petrified. I was a walking, fearful person. Now, I had faith, right? That doesn't mean we can say we have faith, but I got so tired in this fearful state I had to start taking new action and doing new things to break these chains that were trying to, strangle me. And so I started, that's, like I said, a whole other thing, but I started really honing in on letting go, letting God, and getting into the Bible more, getting deeper into the word so I can combat all these things, so I can be firmly planted like a tree with deep, deep roots, so I could fight my battles with God and win. And so that's where I'm at today. And it's just a beautiful place to be. I am not going to say everything's perfect, though. I'm not going to
No,
say
God, no.
I still struggle in all areas. I just had a crying fit the other day. It's like, but this is life. And I wouldn't want to do it without God. I'm more
We're not
afraid
alone.
to do it
We're
without
not
God.
alone
Oh,
with him.
man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like I grew up in a very strict Catholic household, and it was one thing for me. We went to church every single Sunday. I spent hundreds and hundreds, literally, of hours altar serving. I grew up in the church, and that was something that we just did. But as I got into my early 20s, I went to college. I completely just went away from faith because it was something that I wasn't forced to do. And so I had a rebellious phase. And then I lost my dad, and, some things happened, and I just got to a point where I was raised Catholic. And so every time that I wanted to go back to some sort of, go back or be close to God, if you will, quote unquote, I would start saying, do what I would go back to my normal habits, which was, praying the rosary and saying these prayers that I had memorized when I was 5, 6 years old and been saying my entire life. Right. And so I was actually sitting at my dinner table. I had my son was 2 at the time, and we were saying grace. And I remember I was about halfway through this grace that I had said my entire life growing up. And I literally stopped, and I had no clue what I was talking about. You know what I mean? I was like, that was that memorized, that habitual in my mind. And I was like, I am not building any type of relationship with the Lord. And that's where it really started clicking. I started going to this non-denominational church, and it's like, you're supposed to have a relationship. You can just talk to this guy like anytime. Yeah, it's amazing. And it's something that I didn't know until I was literally in my 30s. And I wish that I would have known way before. It's amazing how, no matter if you're 20 or if you're 34, you can still find God. And it's not, to me, I don't feel like it's so much about religion anymore. For me, it's not about religion. It's about relationship.
Yes.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Like 100. And I can relate so much because I grew up in the Catholic Church.
And I like how you said, like, the prayer where you don't even know what you're saying. 'Cause what we
Yes.
call those is like the surface level prayers. So before you really get that, you get into depth with him and you're really honing in and talking to him and asking him for what you need or however he can help you. But those surface level prayers, I mean, they're still great. Don't get me wrong. Like, please bless my food, nourish my body,
Yes.
keep my family safe, healthy, and strong. That's what my mom prayed to us every dinner.
I said that prayer.
Every time at the dinner table.
Yes.
But we said, it was all surface level. You could say that and just go through life, but you don't really have that
The
in-depth
connection.
until you hone in on your relationship, like you
Right.
said.
Letting go of the religious aspect and
Yeah.
really leaning into the relationship that you can have with your father. And that's the beautiful place. When you find that, you just never feel alone. You feel like you can just do
All
more.
things through Christ who
All
gives him
exactly.
strength.
That's our family verse. Philippians 4:13
Yes.
has been our family Bible verse since my kids were little. And so, yeah, we can relate to you though in all those ways.
I love that. We're kind of running out of time. I could talk to you guys forever, but I'll tell you, I do have.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We've just got a few more minutes left. And I've got one more question I'm going to ask you, Taylor. As a younger voice in the faith community right now, what message do you have for your peers, for the people that are your age, about staying grounded in spirituality? We've talked about this a little bit, but today in this world, this day and age, like, what can you tell the people that are your age going through life, maybe without a connection or with not knowing God like maybe you do, or like they could? What do you have for them?
So first off, this is just like Planet Fitness. It's a judgment-free zone, guys. He is there. He is listening to you. this is a time where if you haven't honed into faith yet, or even spoken or prayed out to the Lord, get excited, because this is going to be a pivotal moment of your life. What I would suggest is just start by maybe picking up a Bible, reading the word. That's where I really got to learn who God is and why I'm here. When you have a faith, guys, but I call it BC, before Christ, I went through college and high school and I just didn't know what my purpose was in life. And how many of us want a purpose in life? We all do. Who helps us get that purpose? It's literally, it stems from Jesus, from our faith. Faith has strengthened my resilience. It's shaped my leadership in so many different ways. I could say purpose and, the meaning of my life. I've explored having hope and optimism throughout this. So if I could give a message to the young individuals out there, don't be afraid. Open the Bible. Talk to people that are also involved. Like, I got involved in a community, which, I had a hard time. So in college, when I was all excited about the Lord, I was trying to force a community almost, but you can't do that with people that aren't interested. So if you reach out and find Christian,
reach out to us,
Bible groups, reach out to us, DM anybody that, you see fit, but really getting that community and finding like-minded individuals around you, that's huge. Because if you go into a ditch and it's like, you're so excited about this, but the people around you are, doing all the wrong things. And again, this world is such an evil place. Shut media off. Don't go on media for a week, and don't take it as something that's a punishment too. This is a good growth point. So when people go off media, and a lot of people say, wow, I give you a lot of props for being off for 5 years. I'm like, best 5 years of my life. Really? I'm in with God. Like, every day I'm so unstoppable. I'm confident.
Yeah. You have Godfidence.
I have Godfidence.
Man, that's good. Kelley, that is rocking.
Yeah, she does, because our confidence comes from God alone.
So, my friends will say, I'm very unbothered because I have a blind faith, like we say, a childlike faith where anything that I need prayer, I'm just so content in reaching out to him. But again, that starts by picking up the Bible, maybe just taking time to yourself, self-reflection, ask yourself look in the mirror. Some days I'm like, Jesus, why is this bothering me? Why am I acting like this? This isn't me. It took a lot of self-reflecting when I was getting older to be like, I made a lot of mistakes, and I've always looked at myself as a very big-hearted woman. And I'm like, I can't believe I did those things, but I really just had to hone it in with the Lord through prayer, community, taking moments to self-reflect. Get off media, maybe don't pay attention to everything that's going on in the world, and just figure out your needs, and then just
between you and God,
starting that relationship with the Lord. You can't say no. He's always going to be there to answer you.
24/7 access.
You don't have to pay. This is free, guys. Let's take a moment. God is free. He is up there.
And he's for you. And he's for you.
And if you need any resources, you have JJ and CBJ at your disposal.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, and that's, as far as your podcast, where do people go to find this? Where's the easiest place for people to find your podcast?
YouTube. They can go right to our YouTube channel, Chosen by Jesus.
Awesome. And I'll have a link too in the description. So.
And we're on audio platforms as well, so you can find us all over.
I love that. Well, I hate that we're out of time, to be honest with you, because I have had a great time visiting with you too.
Thank you.
I really appreciate both of you joining me, and we'll have to get together here in the next little while and visit a little bit more, because I really enjoyed our time today, and I appreciate both of you being on. Kelley, thank you so much. Taylor, thank you so much, and we will catch up with you guys down the road.
Yeah.
Amazing. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.